What if I told you that by the end of this video, you will not only understand the cardiac cycle, but you will never need to memorize it again? A lot of students try to memorize the cardiac cycle because there's too many stages or so many valves opening and closing. It just feels very random, and that is why they get completely confused. In this video, I'm going to be breaking down the cardiac cycle into 3 simple steps. If you understand these 3 steps, then you've understood everything, including the heart sounds. These 3 stages are ventricular and atrial diastole, also known as the complete cardiac diastole. We have the atrial systole and the ventricular systole. As always, we start with the definition of some basic terms you always hear whenever you're trying to read about the cardiac cycle. We have the atrioventricular valve. These are the valves that separate the atria from the ventricle. That is the upper chamber of the heart from the lower chambers. And we have the mitral and the tricuspid valve. Together, they are called the atrioventricular valve. Then we have the semilunar valves. These are the valves that prevent blood from backflowing into the heart once they are pumped out. So then we have the aortic valve, which is the valve that separates the aorta from the left ventricle. So once blood is pumped into the aorta, the valve snaps shut to make sure that blood doesn't flow back. This is the aortic valve. Next, we have the pulmonary valve. This is the valve that prevents backflow of blood from the pulmonary artery into the right ventricle. So together, they are both called semilunar valve. So once you hear the semilunar valves are open, that says that the aortic and the pulmonary valve are open. And once you hear the atrioventricular valves are open, that means that the mitral and the tricuspid valve are open. So we'll keep hearing this throughout the duration of this video. Now let's move on to the first stage, the atrial and the ventricular diastole. When you hear diastole, it refers to resting or relaxing. This stage is where everything begins. It is also called the complete cardiac diastole. At this stage, the whole heart is resting. The atria and the ventricles, they are resting. They are not doing any work. The atrioventricular valves are open, and also blood just flows in. So blood flows in from the superior and inferior vena cava into the right atrium and down into the right ventricle. The heart is not doing any work. The blood is just flowing in. And that is why we say it's a passive feeling. It's a passive feeling because the heart is not doing any work. The blood is just flowing in into the ventricles because the AV valve is open. Same thing on the left side of the heart. The blood just flows in from the pulmonary vein into the left atrium and into the left ventricle. About 80% of the blood coming back to the heart comes in through this way. They just flow in by themselves. The heart is not doing any work. They just flow in. About 80% of them. Also, the semilunar valves are closed. This is because nothing is going out. The heart is just resting and receiving. So when you think of this phase, the complete cardiac diastole, think of it as the heart is resting and receiving. So the AV valves are open, the heart is resting, blood is passively flowing in, and the semilunar valves are closed. These are the 4 things that happen in this phase. Then we move on to the second phase, the atrial systole. In this phase, systole refers to contraction. Atria is the plural of atrium, which is about the 2 atrium. So this talks about the contraction of the atria. In this phase, the remaining 20% of blood, the atria, actively contracts to pump the blood into the ventricles. So the AV valves are still open because they have to be open so that the blood can flow in from the atria into the ventricles. The ventricles are still relaxed because before the ventricles will contract, the atria has to finish contracting to push all its blood into the ventricle. The semilunar valves are closed. The heart is not pumping out anything, it's only receiving, still receiving at this point. Moving on to the third and final stage, the ventricular systole. Now you know what the systole means. What do you think the ventricular systole talks about? It talks about the contraction of the ventricles. During this stage, the atrioventricular valves are snapped shut because it prevents, remember the function of valves is to prevent backflow of blood. So it snaps shut to prevent the backflow of blood from the ventricles into the atria. And that is when you hear the lob sound. So the lob sound signifies the beginning of the ventricular systole. You know when you hear that the heart has lob-dub sound, the lob-dub, the lob sound comes from the AV valves shutting. So with the AV valves closing, the semilunar valves open, so that as the ventricle is contracting and pumping out blood, the blood is able to leave the heart into the aorta and the pulmonary arteries. So basically, the things that happen in this phase is that the AV valves close, which is when you hear the lob sound. So the lob sound signifies the beginning of the ventricular systole. Then the ventricles contract, the semilunar valves open, and blood flows into the aorta and the pulmonary arteries. Now, when the ventricles have finished contracting, the semilunar valves close. It is the closing of the semilunar valve that is when you hear the dub sound. And that is why they say the dub sound signifies the end of the ventricular systole. Once the semilunar valve closes, the heart, the entire chamber of the heart, goes into a resting phase again. This time, both the atria and ventricle are both relaxing. And what phase is this? We talked about that is the first stage. That is where everything begins, the complete cardiac diastole. And that is why this is called the cardiac cycle. Because first the heart is resting, passively filling up, then the atria contracts, filling up the ventricles. After that, the ventricles contract, pushing blood into the system. Then the heart relaxes again, and then the atria fills up and then contracts, pushes blood into the ventricles. Ventricle contracts, pushes blood into this bloodstream and into the system, and then the heart relaxes again. If this helped you understand the cardiac cycle, do not forget to like and share to fellow colleagues who might be struggling with the cardiac cycle. Leave a comment to let me know how this helped you. Don't forget to subscribe. Here at Nursing Students Simplified, I make anatomy, physiology, and pathophysiology simple for you. If you have a topic that you're struggling with, you can also let me know in the comment section and I can help you simplify that to make you understand better. Thank you so much for joining in today's video, and I hope that I will see you in my next video.